Hi, hope you guys are all doing fantastic. Welcome to our YouTube channel. In this video, we'll discuss one of the most important questions the aspirants have. That is, how to score high in a given MCQ test. In other words, in simple terms, is there any art or science behind answering MCQs? So that will be the focus of this video. It's a very interesting topic, and I'm sure you're looking forward to it. So without any further delay, let's go ahead. So first and foremost, I would like to highlight the following, which is true times is the charm. In fact, it's not just the charm. In fact, it's always the charm. No matter what kind of MCQ you're going through, whether it's an easy MCQ or a difficult MCQ based on your perspective, make it a habit. Make it a habit that you're going through the entire question, including all the options, if not once, at least twice. Because once you complete the test or once you complete answering that question, you shouldn't have a feeling that, oh no, I should have gone through that MCQ properly. And you'll feel like if I had gone through that question properly, I would have answered it more accurately. You shouldn't have that guilty feeling. So to avoid that guilty feeling, and most importantly, to avoid avoidable mistakes. See, for example, if the question is tough, if you don't know the answer, that's absolutely fine. But if you know the answer to that question, you're confident about the topic which is discussed in that MCQ, and you still go wrong, that's a costly blunder. That is something which is avoidable, right? So avoiding avoidable mistakes is very, very important, and it can be possible by being humble and then going to the question, including all the options at least twice, even if you think that you know the answer to that question, right? And the second thing which I wanted to highlight is take care of negative prepositions. Like there are some negative words, like all of the following is true, except which of the following is not a component of so and so. So these words actually turn the answer in a completely different direction. For example, if the question is all of the following are constituents of GCF except option A, glucose, option B, hydroxyapatite. Mark my words, many of the students will select option A. They will miss out the word except, which is mentioned in the last part of the question. It's again because of the fact that they're not going through the question carefully, completely, in its entirety. And one of the reasons for this is, I don't blame anyone for this, one of the reasons for this is because of the advent of smartphones, because of the advent of these shorter versions of videos and the social media design, where the attention span eventually is getting shorter and shorter. And as a consequence, almost all of us are getting restless. So only with practice we can improve our attention spans. Please keep that in mind, right? So the second thing which I wanted to highlight is look into the question properly and look for these negative prepositions or negative words such as except, not, etc. In fact, when we post questions in our test series or in the community page of YouTube channel, we create many questions with these negative prepositions. Still, we think that most of the students will get it right, but there are students who will get it wrong. So don't fall into that category. And the third thing which I wanted to highlight is benefit of doubt, which means when going to MCQ, as in this case, during inflammation, GCF is option A transudate, option B exudate, option C both, option D none. If you can rule out only one option, I mean, if you can exclude, when I say rule out, if you can exclude one option, right? Which means the answer could be in rest of the three options, which means the probability of getting it right is 33.33%, right? However, if you can rule out two options, which means the right answer can be in these two options, which means the probability of getting the answer right is 50%. So the point I'm trying to make here is, if you're not sure about the answer, however, if you can rule out 50% of the answers or options from the given question, in such a case, if you think the answer is either in this option or that option, give that benefit of doubt, go ahead and answer that question. It's worth doing that. However, if you can only rule out one option, then there is no point in answering that particular question because the probability of getting it right is only 33%, unlike in this context where it is 50%. I hope You got my point, right? So, given for the benefit of doubt, or go for the benefit of doubt, like you have a feeling like the answer could be in either of these two options. In such situations or in such a context, go ahead and answer that question. I hope I made it clear, right? So, benefit of doubt, go for it when the probability of getting the answer is right 50%. Yeah, it's windy. So I can see on my board flipping. And the next one, which I wanted to highlight, is it's important that you move on. For example, you feel you're stuck with a particular question. You're not able to come to the conclusion. You're not able to come to a right answer. Rather than getting stuck, it's important that you should move on to the next MCQ, because the important thing here is not just this particular question. The important thing here is your ability to answer all the questions without leaving any question, not even a single question, unanswered. If you think, oh, last 5 questions, let me take it lightly, let me just focus on the rest. What if you know answers to all those last 5 questions? So it's important that you move on, keeping the fact in mind, which is going through all MCQs at least once is very important rather than leaving out certain questions. Right? So attempting all questions is very, very important. And for that to be possible in the given limited time, you should be able to move on if the question seems to be tough or challenging, right? So that's the point I wanted to convey. And the next one which I wanted to highlight is time-bound practice. As you're practicing MCQs, practice them in a time-bound fashion, which means if you're practicing 240 MCQs, don't practice them for more than 180 minutes. If you're practicing 120 MCQs, don't practice them for more than 90 minutes. If you're practicing 60 MCQs, don't practice them for more than 45 minutes. So I made these calculations. Average 45 seconds for each question to practice. So practicing in this time-bound fashion will help you increase your pace of practice or pace of answering questions, and most importantly, you will eventually improve your accuracy as well. Speed and accuracy are the two components which make all the difference in your final exam. So in order to improve your speed and accuracy, because the exam is time bound, we have limited time, I need to answer some limited number of questions. So you need to practice MCQs in a time bound fashion so that you can improve your speed as well as accuracy, which comes with practice and practice. And the penultimate one, which I wanted to highlight, is when not to answer is more important than when to answer. See, the common sense states that if you know the answer, you will obviously mark the answer in the test and then go ahead. But we have this factor called temptation. Sometimes we feel like, what if I get it right? You don't know the answer. We don't know the answer. And we think, or we keep telling others, like, what if I get it right? I might score well, I might score +4, right? So it makes sense to some extent, but trust me when I say this, majority of the students lose here. They score very well. Out of 240 questions, they score 120, 130, 140 questions, which they're confident in very well. And because of this factor of, what do you say? Like temptation, that what if you get it right by fluke or by chance? See, chance factor will be there hardly for a couple of questions, but not for 30 or 40 or 50 questions, right? So always keep that in mind. Chance factor is always minimal, not that everything you do it by chance will be right. It doesn't work that way. Probability again. So the point I'm trying to highlight is if you don't know the answer to that question, if you could rule out only one option, as I discussed previously, or if you cannot rule out even one option among the four, right? It's better to leave out that question. When I say ruling out, it means exclusion. For example, in this particular question, if you can exclude one option, you're sure that option D is not the answer, then there's no point in answering that question. It's very risky. You'll go wrong because the probability of getting it right is 33%. But if you can rule out two options, then the probability of getting it right is 50%. You can go ahead with your benefit of doubt, answer that question, right? So please keep in mind that when not to answer is more important than when to answer. So that's the point which I wanted to highlight, right? And finally, before I conclude, intuition. I feel this is the most important factor. Intuition is the feeling which comes within instantaneously. The moment you go through a question, you feel like, yes, this could be the right answer. The moment you hear about a topic related in MCQ, you'll know that, this could be mostly the right answer to that particular MCQ. So the point I'm trying to highlight is trust your gut feeling. In common terms or in layman terms, we say it gut feeling, but it's nothing but your intuition. Intuition is a product of your system one, which means it's a product of your brain. And this intuition is well developed when you practice dedicatedly in a consistent manner throughout the course of your preparation. So those who put all the efforts consistently will have better intuition. The moment they go through a particular MCQ, they know that this could be most probably the right answer. Even though intuition may not be true in 100% of the cases, but in vast majority of the cases, trust me when I say this, your intuition, your gut feeling is always right. And your intuition is not something which happens by chance or fluke. It develops based on the amount of practice you had during the course of your preparation. The more the practice you have, the better your instincts are, the better your intuition is, the better your gut feeling is, right? So I feel this is very, very important. Often we get confused, like your intuition says that it could be option B, or your intuition says that it could be option A, but still often override our intuition thanks to our overthinking and make things even more complicated. So trust your gut feeling, trust your intuition, believe in yourself. And for that to be possible, for your intuition to be more and more accurate, it all depends on your practice, practice, and practice, as simple as that, right? So these are some of the points which I wanted to highlight. And before I conclude, as I said, go through each and every MCQ at least 2 times, not less, if possible more, but at least 2 times. And looking for these negative words or negative propositions like except, not, etc. And whenever you can exclude 2 options among the 4 options, you can go in with the benefit of doubt and then try answering that question. It's worth taking the risk in simple terms. And when you feel like the question is a bit complex or a bit lengthy, it's important that you move on because you have limited time and practice in a time-bound fashion, right? When you're going to MCQ, this is to improve your speed and accuracy. And when not to answer, in fact, is more important than when to answer, because the fact here is you have negative marking. And once you implement this when not to answer principle, your negative marking will drop. See, remember, negative marking cannot be eliminated at all. Completely, 100%. No, it's not possible to eliminate negative marking 100%. But everyone's objective is to minimize negative mark, right? Let's be practical. Let's be pragmatic. And finally, intuition. Trust your intuition. Trust your gut feeling. Trust your instincts. And this, again, depends on the amount of practice that you have had during the course of your preparation, right? So I hope it's clear. And these are some of the key areas which I wanted to highlight in this particular topic, which is the art and science of solving MCQs. By the way, before we conclude this video, what do you think is the right answer to this question? You can let me know in the comment section below, right? And after this video, we'll post more MCQs and try to test you, right? Based on these principles. So keep a tab on the community page of our YouTube channel. So I hope this video is helpful. And if you have any further queries, you need any further assistance, you can always get back through mail at proudtobedentist@gmail.com 24/7. Wish you all the best. Love you all.